All right, good evening, everyone. We're very excited to bring our Gold and Above call to you this month of July. And do we have any new golds on here who just ranked gold last month? I can't see the chat. Unmute yourself. And I know that we had one new gold on Emily's team. I think it was Nancy is her name. Anyone else have a new gold, or this is your first call? Nalissa, it's your first. Yay. Congratulations on being here. I'm scrolling through looking for little slight hand raises. Okay, well, congratulations. We're really excited for you to be here tonight. And what we're going to talk about tonight, I'm really excited about. Kim Million and we're going to be presenting about being or becoming a more self-aware leader. And I want to share with you, so this is me and Kim at a trip earlier in March, our gold retreat that we did. And I will tell you that all of this content has been taken from the Navigating Challenging Situations with Love breakout session from convention. And that was led by Emily Fennell and Darcy Groton. And they have a YouTube training of their full, their training on YouTube on one of their channels. And I'll make sure to send that in our threads so that you guys can see that too. And what we've done is we've taken their training and we've kind of condensed it and created some new scenarios that we thought would be really applicable to you at a gold, senior gold, ruby level as you're growing in your leadership. So I'm Cara. I am an Emerald out of Arkansas, and I've been with Plexus for 5.5 years. And this is Kim. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Kim. Oh, you're there. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So my name is Kim and I'm a gold ambassador. I've been with Plexus for about 16 months. Next week, it'll be 16 months. Doing the business and the products. I live in Southern Idaho. I live about 30 miles northwest of Boise. So yeah, my favorite thing about Plexus is no more anxiety and this community and all the growth that has taken place in me over the last years. And I have to thank all of you and everybody on this team for that. So yeah. So Cara is going to start us off with, there's 2 different types of leaders that we're going to look at. And Cara is going to start us off with the first type that most of us will probably have identified with at one time or another.
For sure. I want to introduce you ladies to, this is people-pleasing Paula, pleaser Paula. And pleaser Paula is someone who needs others to like her. She has a really hard time saying no to anyone. She apologizes and accepts all the time, even if it's not her fault. She struggles with authenticity because she wants everyone to like her. She's a giver. She searches for external validation. She is concerned with keeping others happy, even to her own detriment, right? And she does not like confrontation. So if you can relate it all to pleaser Paula, like write in the comments which one you struggle with or which one you feel like that is more you, like, oh, I have a really hard time saying no, or I definitely struggle, or I apologize way too often. What do you kind of identify with? She will keep her true feelings hidden because she doesn't want to like rock the boat, doesn't want to be vulnerable with people. And I want you to know that like it's important to know that we all have a little bit of Paula in us, right? We all want to be liked, and those aren't bad things, but it's when those things right there that are like keeping you from actually doing what needs to be done. And so now we're going to introduce you to someone else kind of on the other side of the coin.
Yeah. So self-aware Sally. Sally is our goal, but she is by no means perfect. Okay. She has just done the work to get to the point where she's more self-aware of who she is and what her strengths are. She is in control of her thoughts, probably not 100% of the time, or she wouldn't be human, you guys, but she's in control of her thoughts because she's done the work. She recognizes her strengths and her challenges. She understands her needs and her feelings, and she tries to recognize as much as she can other people's feelings. She also recognizes how her behavior affects other people. And she has a growth mindset, which is huge. And she's willing to be vulnerable, which I will say, probably the two that I struggle with most on this is that I can be vulnerable in certain situations, but others, it's really hard for me. So are there any parts of her that you guys identify with? Put that in the chat and let us know what you identify with there. Let's see. Growth mindset. Yeah, good. I love that. Yeah, a lot of people said with Paula, you know, they try to keep their true feelings hidden. Growth mindset. I love that. Great. We all identify with both of them. Yeah, take them captive, baby. I agree. Take those thoughts captive. Okay, so Kara, I think you're doing the next one, and we're just talking about this equation of circumstances and feelings and action.
Yes. So I want you all to think about something, maybe something that's been heavy on your heart this week around your, well, it doesn't even have to be around your business. It can be just in your marriage. It can be in your friend group. It can be in your business, something that's been kind of heavy on your heart, maybe a difficult circumstance, and or just maybe some tension, maybe in a relationship, and that is creating some kind of feelings for you. And so we all have these circumstances, and then these circumstances create our feelings, right? And then out of our feelings, we typically will act, and then that produces an outcome. And so if you can, your feelings, you don't really have a lot of control over your feelings, but you can you can be aware of your feelings and act differently. And so based on your action, you're going to have a different outcome. And so I want you to think about that certain situation as we're walking this presentation, to just think about how maybe you can incorporate the things that we're sharing with you into that specific situation. It's important to develop, to identify what you're feeling before we take action, instead of just assuming this circumstance into this action without thinking, because that's when we say things that we don't mean to say. That's when we can say things that may be mean, and or this action could be like cowering, right? If we and then that has negative outcomes in our business or in our relationships too. And so they don't serve you well. So what is the emotion? What led to that emotion? And what is the story that you're telling yourself? And so we've created two scenarios, and Kim's going to talk about the first one. And we hope that these are applicable to you in a way that you can kind of see yourself in them, and how you can act differently in a way that is self-aware, that is in a way that is honorable and kind, respectful to those around you. So here's the first situation.
Okay. And I love this too, Kara, because what it's teaching me that I need to do is to slow down, to just slow down and be patient with myself. But we're going to look at this first scenario, and this is very, very similar to something that happened to me recently, but the name has been changed, so none of you know who that is. But Trudy told Kim that she was excited to start her products as well as get them paid for. But after meeting with Kim, Trudy ghosted her for 3 weeks. After several attempts by Kim to reach her, including phone calls, messages, and video messages, Trudy finally responded that she's no longer interested in the products or the business. So I would like to know, first of all, if you guys want to put it in the chat, or if somebody wants to unmute, how you would feel, or how you think Pleaser Paula would feel in this situation? How's she feeling? Anybody want to just unmute and take a guess?
I'll go ahead and do that. So I've actually had this once earlier on in my business and one more in the more recent times. And earlier on in my business, it was definitely like I took it to heart. Like it made me feel like I was failing them or that I had done something wrong or they were angry with me. They were upset with me. And I took it really personally because you're a people pleaser. Paula is going to feel like it's all on her. You got to apologize. You got to really. Now I'm like, okay, well, it's not their time. That's fine. Love you. How are the kids? Like it doesn't affect me the same way as it did. But when I started out, and for sure, when that was a huge struggle for me, like carrying what they thought that paralyzed me for a while, you know. And so it's really hard when you're people pleasing, to get, because that becomes a mindset block.
Yeah, that's totally true. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, some people put in there frustrated, betrayed, hurt, upset, defeated. So the outcome here, I'll just, so she's feeling hurt. She's probably doubting herself, right? Did I say something wrong during the process of sharing with her? Disappointed, frustration, confusion. I thought she was in. She was very excited about it. And so I think a pleaser is going to begin to doubt her abilities. And for me in this situation, it led to a few days of complete inaction. Like I kind of shut down. I was like, well, I guess I'm not very good at this. Yeah. And what was that? And doubt that what? I can't see the chat anymore. But let's go ahead and let's look at what Sally would say. And I love this response. So the same thing has happened. The circumstance is exactly the same. And do you think Sally feels any different than Paula? I think some of her feelings might be a little more grounded, but she's probably still disappointed. She's probably still a little bit sad that Trudy has opted to not do this. So Sally responds with this: I'm sad that you felt you could not come to me sooner with how you were feeling. I know the thought of starting something new can be scary. It's also scary for me to even reach out. I would still welcome the chance to work with you if and when you are ready to get started and work toward the goals and dreams you have for your future. It would be helpful for me to know what changed your mind. Would you be open to chatting about that with me tomorrow? So what I love about this is that Sally states right away, she doesn't cover over the fact that she's sad. She said, and it's not accusatory, right? It's just, this is how I feel. I feel sad that you felt you couldn't come to me sooner with how you were feeling. She also validates the possible feeling of, being scary to start something new. And she builds a bridge to that future connection by keeping those lines of communication, rather than like, I see myself saying, oh, it's okay, it's fine, when it's not fine. It's not fine. I'm a little hurt by the way they responded. And so she builds that bridge. She knows that her emotions are temporary. And so are Trudy's possibly. She uses positive language. And this is why, like, she uses the words like welcome, helpful, future, goals, and dreams, because she's still trying to build belief in Trudy that this is a great opportunity. And by saying no, she is going to miss out on something. But also she leaves the end choice with Trudy and asks for a time to talk. She states what she would like. She states what she needs, but also she leaves that choice with Trudy. And so I love that this is a position of a little bit more power from her standpoint. She's going to feel better that she controlled her emotions, that she was truthful. And I don't know, Kara, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I love that response. And I love, you can see how even though she's feeling those things, she's grounded in what she's doing and
Mhm.
her belief in the products and this opportunity. And she is still like willing to work with Trudy. So I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to go into our next scenario. So this one, maybe you can relate to. It says, Kim and Kara are sideline sisters and are working together on a Facebook page event. Kara starts early and has the event like kind of laid out, framework, but then Kim comes in and sees what she's done and has completely changed everything and completely changes everything. And so tell me in the chat how that would make you feel if you are Kara, and go ahead and do that. I'll pull up my chat. How would that make you feel? You like worked really hard on something. You were really excited about it. And someone came in and changed it all, right? Annoyed, like frustrated, angry. Would you feel like disrespected, not good enough? Like that's what I have, like inadequate. I would feel like hurt. And so those are all feelings that I would have. And so if I acted out of those feelings, if I was that people pleasing Paula, I feel like I would go one of two ways with this. Yes, would not want to work with them again for sure. I would either say something like, oh, okay, you got it. And I'd back down and I probably wouldn't invite anyone to the event, right? I would not, or I may go over to my other sideline friend and I may say something like, oh my goodness, can you believe Kim just did this to me? And then that's going to create drama. And anytime you have drama, like that paralyzes your business. Let me just tell you that right now. And so if you are saying something behind people's back and doing that, that will kill your business. It really will. And so being able to notice those feelings and think about, okay, how can I approach Kim about this in a way that is kind and respectful, and being able to operate out of that awareness. So yeah, let me make sure I got everything in my notes. She may shy away from working with not just Kim, but anyone. Like her confidence in what she's doing, and that's not going to help their business move forward if she's isolating herself from that. So here's a response that Sally, self-aware Sally, might say to Kim. It says, hey, Kim, I saw the changes that you made on our Facebook event. I'm sensing that you weren't happy with the direction I was going. I worked really hard on it and it hurt my feelings when I saw you changed it without talking to me. I value your opinion and I want this event to be successful and fun for both of us. Are you free this afternoon to chat to make sure that we're on the same page? And so kind of what we talked about in the response of the first scenario, right? So I saw that this happened. You stated what happened. This is how it made me feel. It hurt my feelings. I'm sad because you didn't talk to me of that. And so it hurt my feelings. I value your opinion. And so I do want to work together. I want it to be fun. I want us to grow our businesses in this. And then, are you free to chat with me? And so, do you guys see how this, Melissa, and you know what? That's a really good point. What you just said in the comments. I never think on my feet like that. And this is something that I would not come up with like I probably wouldn't respond immediately this way. Anytime, and we're going to talk about this of like, anytime I feel something, I have that circumstance that comes and I'm irked. Like, we're going to talk about how you can slow down, stop and think about what exactly are you feeling and move into that conversation. So, that's actually what we're going to go right into next. And so this is, you can really see this. I know that it is small. Okay. But I have a PDF. I sent it over to our Golden Above. I'll send it over to the other Jewel thread so that you guys can have this. We got this emotion wheel that was, and it was from Darcy and Emily's like handout from the session. And so anytime you have that situation, a circumstance that comes up, something makes you go, oh, that hurt. Oh, like feeling those feelings. I want you to take a deep breath and think about, okay, something is triggering me. I'm human. It's okay. I'm feeling this way, and get curious about what you're feeling. Okay. So in that second scenario, right, I was feeling embarrassed. Maybe I was feeling inadequate. And so like, think about, okay, well, what am I feeling? So for me, like I think about, okay, I'm feeling inadequate right here. And so, okay, that stems from like a feeling of fear. And so what is that feeling inside of me? Just being able to stop and think about it and be curious, that's going to help you a long way. It's going to help you tremendous like that. Kim, do you want to go ahead and finish up this slide?
Yeah, I just think what you said there, I'm feeling inadequate, and the fearful part, it made me think of, I'm fearful that my efforts aren't adequate to this task. And that's the story that I'm telling myself because of her reaction, going in and changing everything. Oh, that must mean that I'm not good enough, and maybe I can't do this, and maybe my work is really subpar. So that fear, and we kind of disagreed a little. Well, we didn't disagree, but we looked at the wheel in different ways. But I think you can look at it in two ways, mostly because we can often know exactly how we're feeling, but sometimes we're just angry and we don't know why. And so you can use it either way, either start at the middle and work out, or start somewhere, just find something that describes what you're feeling and work from there. I think it's really important. Yeah, we are going to be triggered because we are human beings. But I love how they encourage us to get curious about the emotion, because curiosity to me implies that there's something there to discover. Curiosity means there's something here. I'm going to dig. There's something really cool here that could be for my benefit and everybody else's benefit if I just am willing to dig a little bit and sit in the yuckiness of the emotion for a little while and work through it. Anyway, I think that was really fun. And I also remember, because it's really easy for me to feel like I need to respond off the hip because I don't stand up for myself, because I'm a coward. I'm a person who, like, when conflict comes, I just want to run because I get emotional right away. I get super emotional. But I need to remember that there's a little bit of confusion, for me at least, and being vulnerable is not the same thing as needing to confront somebody. Does that make sense? Like, I can be vulnerable and not have to come back at somebody. I think that's what Sally's trying to tell us by just saying, this is how I felt. Anyway, every opportunity is definitely an opportunity to learn. So lean into those emotions, lean into the situation, journal it out if you need to. So lean and learn. That's my new mantra, lean and learn.
I like it.
Okay. So next, we're gonna talk about creating and communicating boundaries, because really that's what self-aware Sally is doing. She's setting up boundaries without saying what she's doing. Okay, so quickly I'll go through these, and then Kara, I want you to go back after I say these. I want you to go back to, I think it's slide 9, and I'm just going to talk through what she's doing there. So number 1, you identify what happened. You describe the feelings that came up for you. You identify your needs, and you make a request. So can you go back to number 9, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So number 1, she identifies what happened. Okay, she says, I saw the changes you made on Facebook. Okay, so pretty easy. Talk about what happened. She doesn't blame. She doesn't accuse. She just said, this is what happened. Number 2, describe her feelings. I'm sensing you weren't happy, but I worked really hard and it hurt my feelings. Very matter of fact. Again, no blame. She just says, I'm sensing that you weren't happy with that. 3, she identifies her needs. Okay. I want this to be successful for both of us. And I want us both to work on this together. This is important. And 4, she makes a request. Are you free this afternoon to chat and make sure we're on the same page? So, okay, Kara, you can go back.
Mhm.
And this is not on the slide, but I think it will be in the handout. There's 5 things that happen when we create and communicate boundaries. And those are, number 1, others are going to know where you stand and what you value. Number 2, you will have more respect for yourself as a leader. You will have less anger and less resentment. Your confidence as a leader and a communicator will increase. You will have more compassion for other people, and you will have less conflict in your relationships because you will have taken that time. I think time is the one thing that we can't, firecracker. Time is the one thing that we can't stress enough, that we take to just sit in that. And we don't have to respond, ladies. I think that's one thing that I've heard often since I started this business. You don't have to respond right away when people message you or send you a message. You can take time and think about that. So Kara, I think, does anybody have any questions or comments before we wrap up? You know, Kara's got a few phrases that are helpful.
And I wanted to say, if you are someone that feels like you have to respond right then, like it's totally okay for you to say like, hey, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to take a few minutes or a few hours to think about how I want to respond to you, because I respect you and I want to respond in a way that, like, I think that's totally okay for you to do. And you can identify that of like, I want to think about what I want to say before I just say something out of emotion.
Yeah.
And so that's totally fine for you to do. Okay.
Real quick, Amy said that this is hard for me. I don't like sitting in the yucky. She said, I suck it up and I move on. I should work in that. I want to say, if you're a person who moves on quickly, that's great. A lot of us don't. But if you're a person that doesn't bother you, but you said you don't like sitting in the yucky, so I think maybe that does bother you a little bit. But if you're a person that's okay and you can move on, that's great. Do it. I would say the one thing that they said in the breakout session at convention was that you don't want to turn into a raging Rhonda. That was another one that they didn't talk about. Raging Rhonda just is angry and comes back, with one-liners and zingers that are really, really, we envy those zingers, but they're probably not very helpful for our business. So try not to be a raging Rhonda. Try to be somewhere in the middle of pleasing Paula and raising Rhonda.
Exactly. And I want to, before I talk about these specific phrases, I want to share, like, it might not always be received well. Because you never know where that other person is coming from, what that other person is going through in their own personal journey of professional development, right? And seeking to do that. And so I don't want you to think that you do this and they're going to be like, oh, yay, because sometimes they're hurt. It's hard to hear things sometimes. And so exactly, they have feelings too. You may hurt their feelings by saying the way that, but oftentimes it really is a matter of miscommunication and not and making assumptions, right? And so I want you to think about some things, helpful phrases when you're having a conversation and when you're about to say, send a message or something that could be a little bit confrontational. I want you to think about honest conversation. Think of it being I want to have an honest conversation, because honest conversations, they are not confrontational. And so I want you to think about, I'm confronting someone. Well, I'm just being honest. I'm having an honest conversation. So calm down before you communicate. Think about that. And if you are a praying person, man, I just,
Yeah.
if I have to go into a conversation, I
Mhm.
am soaking that conversation in prayer of just like asking the Lord to give me words so that I am kind and respectful.
Mhm.
Now, this whole thing, you want to be kind and respectful to someone. And yes, using facts without provoking statements.
Yeah.
So there's also some accountability here of like, okay,
Mhm.
well, how did I contribute to this?
Yeah.
How did I contribute, cause, create this? Because it's not always just another person. Maybe in that
Mhm.
scenario with Kim and Kara, maybe Kim and I, we talked about it and she had a different idea, or maybe she
Yeah.
thought, maybe I told her, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this, change whatever you want. And then I forgot that I said, change whatever you want. And then she comes and does it. And so thinking about what is your part that you played in whatever this
Mhm.
scenario situation is. And so these are some helpful tips, phrases. And I'm telling you, I say this with my kids. I say this to
Mhm.
my husband all the time. The story I'm telling myself, the story I'm telling myself, this happened just a couple weeks ago about toothpaste. I'm telling you, like I was talking to my husband and I was able to say like, okay, this is what I'm telling myself. And I know that this is not really true, but in my brain thinks this is true right now. And this is what I'm saying and what I'm telling myself. So these are phrases that you can say when you're having a conversation that automatically, like they are not accusatory at all, but they are helpful in communicating what you need to say. And so just some helpful phrases there.
And just so you guys know, this was a process for Kara and I. I mean, none of that difficulty took place. This is a total fictional scenario. Like she and I I didn't go in there and change everything. But it took us a while to come up with those responses for self-aware Sally, because you know, when you're in the emotion of something, you kind of want to say something and you think, oh, is that right? But so I would encourage you to work together with somebody. Maybe you have a power partner, maybe you have somebody that you trust, that you know it's going to stay between the two of you so you don't stir up drama, and you don't have to use names about the people that you're dealing with. You know, in fact, I would encourage you not to, but you use each other. I think it would even be fun, this is just a thought, to like do a Zoom call and work through situations like this so we can learn, because that's a way for us to decompress. So anyway, that's just a thought.
Yeah. And before we close out, does anyone have any questions? If not, then I will get the PDF from Darcy and Emily's to the Jewel Thread so that you guys can share it with your teams. And then I just want to pray over us in our businesses and our relationships, and then we will close out. So I'm going to do that real quick. God, I just thank you so much for this team, these teams, and just the ability to get together. And Lord, I just thank you for each one of these ladies and their businesses and how you have given them success already and where they're at, Lord. And I just pray for their relationships right now. I pray for their relationships with their team members. I pray for their relationships with their family members, their spouse, their children, their friends, and their church community, Lord. And I just pray that you would ground them, and that when they would not be controlled by their feelings, Lord, but that they would know the truth, and that they would be able to communicate in a way that demonstrates love for one another, but that also communicates in an honest way so that they can move forward, Lord. And so, God, I just pray that you would give them peace in their circumstances right now. And Lord, we know that peace does not come from circumstances. It comes from you, no matter what our circumstances are. And so, Lord, we just lift each one of these ladies up to you tonight. And we just thank you for the time to be able to share with them what we're learning and how you are growing us in our way to communicate and love on people better. And so we love you, and we thank you for just the ability to gather on a Zoom on a Thursday night, God, Lord, this the freedom that we have to do that. Pray that you would just bless our businesses and the work that we're doing. And I pray that you would bring us people that need what we have to offer, God, and help us to lead them well. In your name I pray, amen. All right. Thank you, ladies, for hopping on. I hope that this was helpful. And we will see you next month for our next Golden Above call. All right. Y'all take care.